I
Well,
don't.
God is. Can you hear it?
No, no, I hear some sort of buzz in the back, but it
Okay.
sounds
All right.
soothing.
All right. God bless everyone. This is Let's Cross Together podcast with yours truly, the mental health pastor, Fernando Kittrell. Thank you for tuning in once again. I hope everyone is having a great Saturday. Here on Let's Cross Together podcast, our focus is the ministry of mental health, and our and within that we seek to dismantle mental health barriers. So I'm excited today for another opportunity to be here for you all to share. And I'm also greater excited about our special guest today, Miss Kelli Ortiz, who I've known for, 2007, 2008. Maybe it's been about, I don't know, whatever that equals to. But she's as I shared with her, she's always been the same, always had this gentle spirit, always was just an encourager and a motivator. So I'm glad to have her here today. She's going to share some things today, and hopefully you all that are listening, you will be blessed by it and encouraged. A little bit about Miss Kelli real quickly before we get into it. She is a graduate of University of Richmond with a Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts with a concentration elementary education. She also is a graduate, a master's degree from National University in social emotional learning. She's also a proud mom of 3 awesome young men, Caleb, Peace, and Miklo. Right? Did I
Yeah,
say it right? Yeah.
you sure did.
Yeah. And so I know her as Miss Kelli. So what brought us together on this podcast, because I've been watching her go through school and went back to school. I remember when she started maybe with your undergrad and you was just kind of like silently doing it. The next thing you know, you were graduating. I was like, wow, Miss Kelli is. Then you was getting your master's. I was like, wow. And you shared with me what your master's degree was in. And I was very impressed just hearing you talk about it. And in addition, she's also an educator. She's a teacher also. So she's an awesome teacher, very creative, I know. So I was really impressed with her sharing with me social, emotional learning. And I said, you know what, post-COVID, people are going through a lot of things and mental health and just trying to figure themselves out and understand themselves and just trying to figure things in life out, who they are. And so I thought it would be a great idea for her to come and share what social emotional learning is and how that can be a blessing to us. So, Ms. Kelli, you want to come in, share a little bit about yourself more, or I've said enough, and let's get right into it.
All right. Thank you for having me, Pastor Fernando. So I guess I'll just start off just by giving a little synopsis of social emotional learning. Most of us in the educator world, we call it SEL, just much easier to say. So social emotional learning is comprised of 5 core competencies that come from CASEL. And they are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, responsible decision-making, and relationship skills. And basically, all of these things comprised together are supposed to help everyone become more of a whole person. For me, in the educator field, it's to really help reach the whole child when we're in the classroom. So it's not just about education and academics, but it's all of those things coming together. CASEL actually stands for Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. So
Okay.
that's all of it in a nutshell right there.
And so I remember asking you, like, what? All right, here we go. What triggered you to do that? I know we all need to grow, we all need to develop, but what made you really pick that? Like, how did you say, you know what, social emotional learning? Hey, that's me.
Well, it's something that is used a lot in the elementary classrooms. So I started to become familiar with it. But I wanted to know more. And I knew a lot of it had to do with connecting with your students. And I've always longed to have deeper connections with people just in
Okay.
general. And so I just wanted to know more. I just wanted to have more in my arsenal so I could help my students. I wanted my students to have the best experience possible every day they came to my classroom. And I knew that that was one of the keys, is to be able to meet them where they're at, create a safe space for them, be able to, be that safe adult for them in their life. That was all important to me. So it wasn't just educating them
Right.
academically, but it socially and emotionally, especially during this time. So many people have just kind of lost touch with community and just relationships, and we have to kind of reteach those skills.
That's a good point. You know what? Reteaching those things. You're right. And what we talked about yesterday, I didn't even say what the theme was. I forgot to mention it, but healing through honesty. And so we kind of was connecting that focus of your learning and then your experience through healing through honesty, because we are in, I said, this thing with COVID, and you just said we've lost connection. And I think we don't know. I think truth be told, we've forgotten how to be cordial. Like, we've forgotten things. We were only away for 2 years, but it was long enough to forget how to interact, how to be nice. It's almost like people have forgotten their social skills and community. And
Right.
so how does this come about, this whole week, the theme? I know we talked about it, but healing through honesty. What is really that about?
I guess, well, not I guess, I do know, as I was going through my master's program and learning more and more about social emotional learning and just the depths of it, it actually helped me as a person. Um, there were just so many strategies there that every person can use in their life, not just kids.
Right.
And I apply these to my life every single day. And what's great about all these competencies, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, is there's all these little subtopics to them. And some people may be really strong in one, but need to grow in a whole lot of other ones. And so it's just a constant push to grow. And in this journey, in my master's for social emotional learning, I just had to take a really hard look at myself.
Wow.
We had a few classes where we discussed a lot. We discussed biases, and that's just a very heavy thing because everybody has bias, but a lot of people, even though they may recognize it, they don't do anything about it. It's just kind of like, I have that bias, move on. That's the way I'm made. That's life. Um, but that's not the way it should be, because if we want this to be a better world, a better community, a better classroom, better relationships, we have to work on those things, like our biases in our life.
That's a touchy topic, because when you think you're all of that, it's hard to think you have something. I truly believe everybody has biases. It's impossible. If you're born into this world, it's subconscious. Most of them are subconscious. But the whole piece with self-awareness, how does that, how do we kind of engage that whole self-awareness piece to kind of really, because you can't be honest. You can't even be healed till you be honest, but you can't even get into healing and honesty until you understand self-awareness. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just being okay with the fact that you're not perfect. that, you may judge people, and everybody judges everybody, to a certain degree. And so it's just coming to grips with that and saying, okay, I don't like this part of me. How can I start to work on this? And that's really what it is. It's just understanding who you are. And then all of these competencies kind of like intertwine with each other, because then it's like, okay, how do I manage my emotions when if I see something happening, like an injustice somewhere? How do I handle my emotions? How do I like not go off the rails and, cut somebody out because, whatever, that upset, that injustice that I saw, it upset me. How can I approach it in a better way? Being aware as to, maybe what somebody else is going through. Try to, look at things in their shoes. And that's kind of like more like social awareness, like trying to put yourself in their shoes and see things from their perspective, or maybe just even realizing that you don't know where they're coming from, and just being more gentle and more empathetic, and all those things, because everyone wants to be happy. Everyone wants to have a joyful life, and I don't know, it's just realizing that.
Yeah, that's a good so we need that kind of teaching, that kind of focus. It's such a disconnect right now. I was sharing with Janice, because Janice is on here, but we were talking yet last night. I said, what did I say? As far as community, we need to find people that we can have victory with, not only just history with. And sometimes we don't want to evolve like this. Like we're trying to do things as normal, but I don't think we're in a normal time anymore. We have to evolve, and that's going to take us hearing things like what you're saying, self-awareness, social awareness, and kind of move out of our comfort zone. Like we've been in a comfort zone for so long through the COVID that even though we're in the crowd, we're still kind of in it. And I get it. It's a lot of things going on. I believe we're in a mental health crisis, but I believe, and it's a cliche, that we can really be the change that we really want to happen.
We definitely can. Which sidebar, Janice, I love you. I saw her post that your quote.
Oh yeah.
But Janice is a very special person. But yeah, no, you're right. We're coming out of a really dark time. So I think people are just trying to figure out, like, what do I do now? Like, how do I navigate this life and all these crazy things? Because remember when we were going to the pandemic, there was race riots. There was just so much. There was like all this huge stigma around COVID. If you had COVID, like, you have, stay away from that person, which we still don't want to be. We want to stay quarantined. But I don't know. There was just so much like craziness. And then it can go so far, into a lot of children and women, having to stay at home in abusive relationships, just not being able to go anywhere. The grocery stores were closed. Like, you couldn't go anywhere. You were stuck at home. And there are so many, I think we're going to see a lot of things continue to unravel as the years go on, just from these last 2 years being in quarantine. And during this pandemic, it's just really messed with a lot of people.
Yeah, and me being a counselor, so many people that I'm seeing or have saw in the past or have seen in the past, and one of the things is being in the COVID, being alone, helped them. Well, it exposed what they were neglecting to deal with. And so instead of getting healed some kind of way, now that we're back to a societal type of flow, they're out here exposed. So now at least they were suppressing it before the COVID just by working and being busy and overcompensating through a bunch of things. But that thing really opened up to them, things that they were dealing with, because now they're alone in their home and they had to deal with themselves and those issues. And now they're out in the open, exposed, and it's like they don't know what to do because they never got the healing when it was a quiet time or during the dark time. Now they're in the light time, still in the dark.
Yeah, I mean, they were forced to be with themselves.
That's a hard place, though.
It is. It's really hard.
I was left to myself. and so how can social emotional learning, like how can those 5 components, how can we help people just like navigate? Because really it is about a navigation. It's about how do I navigate in a healthy manner. I believe part of it is you got to just self-awareness. You got to be like honest. If you're ever going to be healed, you got to say, you know what, I'm struggling with this. Mm-hmm. Like all the perfect people now has been exposed. Like we realize you're not perfect. And so they don't know how to handle people seeing them in the light that they was trying to hide. And so now they got that challenge up here. And now, so everybody's in this, it seems like it's a frenzy of hiding, but there's nowhere to hide. So it's just this scrambling. And nobody, I shouldn't say nobody, but many don't want to be healed. They don't want to, healing is messy. It's messy to be healed. It's messy. You got to dig up things. You got to talk about things. You got to cry. You got to shed tears. I remember one time I was going through, I went to like a wooded area to cry, like to scream, like, to get it off of me. And these two ladies walking the dog heard me. And so they peep into the window. And I didn't know they were coming that far back. I was by myself, I thought, and they came and said, "You all right, sir?"
You good?
And I said, "No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm just." And they were like, "Okay, we heard you, and we just said, make sure you were okay." But it gets, we need that. Like we need to release a lot of these things that we've been holding, or it's just going to get worse.
I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully, conversations like this will help people. Being honest with yourself is really hard. It's a really hard place to be. And social emotional learning actually is kind of like a toolbox.
Okay.
Like I said, there are so many subtopics to each component. And each one, there are so many resources out there to help you address those and to grow in those areas. And I feel like it's so important, in the classroom, because if we can teach kids to deal with these and address, these things that they're dealing with, or at least help them, give them some resources and tools. Maybe they'll be at a better place than I am as an adult, So, yeah.
I think what you said is really powerful. A toolbox. Like I'm a counselor, but I have counselors. Like that's in my toolbox. A peer. I'm reading this book, The Art of Thinking.
Okay.
So I'm reading that, and you got to have a toolbox, or that safe place is a tool, like part of your tools, your strategies. Mm-hmm. Where can I go? Who can I talk to that I can trust? Conversations like this is a toolbox. Maybe somebody need to go back and replay some of what we said, but you can't. I was sharing with a group of guys recently. I said, don't try to handle your life by yourself. That's the worst thing you could do, is to try to handle your life by yourself. And you got all these people around you, and you don't get in resources, and you don't engage in any of it. that's a dangerous place to be emotionally, mentally. And so, um, this social emotional learning, you know, I think you kind of said it healed you in some things. Just being intentional about learning kind of start healing your heart or healing just things in you that you say, you know what, I got this going on. And so that honesty piece is really great. That's big. If we could just be honest, you know, for a long time when I went through a divorce, the worst thing in my life. Oh my God. I didn't think anything could be, I didn't think anything could be worse. I didn't even, I don't even know. I couldn't even imagine anybody having to deal with that. So I went through that pain, but at the same time, and I had thoughts of jumping off the bridge and all. I was just like in this weird, this place, like, oh my God, I'm the kid. You know, I'm the kid. That's not supposed to happen to the kid type of thing. But what helped me, I was in school at the same time. So I got a psychology degree, and then I got my master's in counseling. During the worst time in my life, I got 2 degrees. So I really wasn't getting an education. I was getting healed. Because psychology is the mind, counseling is the mind, so I'm in the healing field. So when I wanted to jump off a bridge at noon, I remembered when I wanted to lose at noon, I remember I had to win by midnight by turning in an assignment. And my assignments were about me. And so I was able to talk about me and heal and be like, oh, I just changed the names, but it was me. And I said, man, I'm starting to feel like I'm feeling better being intentional. Like school was in my toolbox.
Right.
I had to go. So learning and getting some kind of some intake of inspiration or positive learning. You got to feed your mind and be honest. Like I was messed up. It took me a long time to even acknowledge, because I'm in image and how it looks, and I was like, man, I was messed up, man. I was like, God, I can't take it. I just can't. But, you get through it. He heals you, but it was honesty. I'm like, I'm not the kid. I'm not the kid. And I had to look at him. I had to look to people. And then I worked for a counseling company. So all these tools, like I was like, man, I was in this circle of therapy that helped me. So to your point, that toolbox, people got to have tools. Like those days of trying to handle your life by yourself, man, we've already made a mess. So we already know what that looks like. Why not try something else to help you?
Yeah. And if I could just bounce off of your comment about your divorce, I've been there too. And I can relate 100%. I actually was in the place that you were in before the divorce. I was just in a place where I actually didn't feel like I could ask for help from anyone, and didn't feel like I had a voice at all. But I knew I did. It was screaming inside of me. So I can definitely relate to that. And I had a lot of conversations with myself.
Yeah.
And it was just hard. It was very hard. I agree. And then it's kind of like what you did. You kind of found your peace. And that's what I had to do. I actually started going to the gym.
Okay.
I became a Zumba instructor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember seeing you doing that.
Yeah, that was my therapy. And it wasn't even I don't even know how it came about. It was just came from, I knew how to teach dance classes, and I needed someplace outside of the community that I had been in so many years
it. Yeah.
my life. And when I started going to the gym and working out and becoming an instructor, I was like, oh my goodness, I can make relationships outside of this other community that I had been in. People actually like me. Not that I didn't think people liked me before, but I was always told there was kind of another reason why they liked me. And so it was just, you know, coming to grips with like, oh, I am, you know, a likable person. I can make friends outside of that at a community.
Wow.
I just, so yeah, that was kind of like my piece. And it's funny because at every point in my life, I've learned to find that peace to deal with things in my life. Like when I was a kid, and I was having issues at home, I would go in the backyard, turn on the radio, and just start dancing. Like that was my peace. That was my release. That was the way I coped. And
Yeah, coping. Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's human nature. You probably could answer that better than me, that we just naturally try to find something to help us go through that. But and maybe I'm going on a tangent.
No,
I
that's
can't do that.
actually right, because we can't heal. There's no healing beyond honesty. I don't think it is. Like, how can you heal? People say time heals. No, honesty heals. No, because you can still be 20 years hurting, but still in denial.
Yes, yes.
But honesty is the beginning of something, like of truth. Like whatever that truth looks like to you, it's truth. Like, you know, God moves in truth. And for so long, we always moved in image, what it
Right.
looks like. But that's why we have a lot of people that are. I just did a little workshop talking about suffering in silence, because they, you know, after a while, you turn on yourself. If you don't find a coping strategy or something to do, it's like you become you become Dr. Frankenstein that created the monster, and then the monster at the end turned on him.
Yes.
Ripping off arms. They got to burn the house, the castle down. And I mean, so the thing he created at some point turned on him and had to be destroyed. So sometimes we're creating something that turns on us. And like, you know, it's funny. I never really thought about it until you just said it. I always like reading. Reading and learning was like, I would lose myself in books. Like, wow, this is, and so that's why school was kind of like that. Just, I don't know, I would just like imagine myself in the pages somehow.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe if we're going after honesty, then we have to find, like you said, it's really powerful. Something, an outlet, like a coping strategy, some kind of outlet. It could be counseling, but something, until you start figuring out where to channel all of that.
Right.
Like you got honesty, and then, okay, how I'm gonna do, I don't have the whole plan, but I need to put myself in something so I can channel the anger, so I don't channel it on someone.
Right.
I channel it through this, and then through that, I can start thinking clearly and working through the pieces of how to like formulate a plan. But I think school for me, it like helped me to the point where people was like, yo, you okay? I was like, I don't know why I'm okay. I feel okay. I mean, and I said I was perfect, but working on 2 degrees, that's a lot of time to heal. That's a lot of, you know what I'm saying, self intake of stuff. So I was like, oh my God, and people are not getting help at a greater level of their pain.
Right.
Their pain is here at a 10, but they're doing stuff to try to help themselves that's on a level 4.
Yeah.
So we have to find something that we can find relief in and release until we walk through it and get help and prayer through however people do there. But I commend you, because I watch you grow. You know, you just started off with, like, did you start off with your associates first?
Well, yeah, I had nothing. When Mikla was a senior in high school, I went to J. Sarge and got my.
Sarge, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then next thing you know, I was like, so I watch you as a testimony of, finding your place, finding who you are. And sometimes we don't know who we are. We have to invest in something that's in our heart to do. And through that, God will use that. Like, you'll find who you are. Like, you'll find your purpose but you You got to be honest. Like, there's a lot of people I know, and I said it the other day, we know we should be doing things better or differently because we say stuff like, man, I know I need to be doing, like, we know.
Yes.
I know I should be doing, man, I know I need to go back to school. Man, I know I need to, like, we all the time are telling our own answers to ourselves. Man, I know I need to stop doing this. So it's just these kind of dialogue, conversations where it stimulates people's mind or triggers their thoughts. And if this could be an avenue or venue somebody can get inspired through, this is what this broad podcast is, dismantling mental health barriers. Like, some things got to be dismantled. You got to take it up. You got to peel it apart. There's no overnight situation. You got to walk this thing through. And sometimes there's no quick fixes, and it's messy.
It is. Yeah, I think one thing you said is, recognizing things that your truth, recognizing your truth, but then not just recognizing it, doing something about it. Yeah, so at one point in my life, I was getting therapy, and the therapist, he said to me, you laugh as a defense mechanism. And I got so offended by that. I was like, what? No, I don't. And he's like, yes, you do. And that was really, really, really hard for me to take. I think because, he was right, 100%. But that's how I coped. That's how I managed everything. That's how I managed all the trauma in my life. I just found laughter somewhere, and I just tried to smile through it.
Wow.
And it, man, just hearing that was so hard for me. But then I'd have to stop myself sometimes. Like, when I would go to laugh at something, I'd be like, that's really not funny. I'm just uncomfortable, or
okay.
or I don't know how to
I
don't know how to answer that. Or instead of getting angry, I'm gonna laugh. And it's not necessarily an unhealthy thing to do, but it wasn't my truth. It wasn't truly how I felt. And so I still deal with that. So daily I deal with that. Right now I'm just smiling all the time. It's just part of who I am, but I don't always feel like smiling, but I put it on.
Well, you smile well, so.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, it's in that, then it's like, okay, so what do I do with that? Like, and I guess for me, the first step is just recognizing when it happens and why it happens, and how can I just be truthful, without hurting people, but being truthful with myself so I can grow and then help others.
Yeah, you know what? That's pretty good. That's honest. That's true. Because I was sharing with someone today, we do things as coping strategies, like to deflect the attention off of something from, uncomfortable for us. So one of the things that I do sometimes, I try to do anyway, I practice being calm. So, because it's even across. So it gives me time to think about a response. So I might not I'm like, you know what? That was like, I got to think about it first. Like, okay. And then what I do, I don't laugh anymore if it's not funny. I do something that they know that I don't think it's funny. I do this, like, you kind of know, it's like, it's kind of like my way. I don't know if, like you said, I don't know if it's good or bad, but I kind of do it to, like, okay. So I didn't agree. Then I'm like, okay, yeah. All right.
In my opinion, you're displaying self-management.
Yeah, basically.
Like,
yeah.
You're probably really strong in that area.
So I practice it though, because I've been in meetings lately that's been hardcore brutal, and they said, man, you stay so calm. Like, how do you? I'm like, no, it's not that I'm perfect, but I can't be a counselor and be all at pieces. So I had to practice. You practice self-management, basically. That's the good way. Self-management, like, okay. Don't think I don't want to be act up, but I can't, like, if somebody else was like I don't have a room to do it. I have to be the, I don't have room to be
Yes.
I just because no, what I'm saying, to be, so I have to be okay, all right, and through that I'm working through it. But yeah, self-management. So it's a lot of different things, but that's powerful truth. My so my I don't think he would mind me telling my son Nando, because we talk about and I use it on the podcast. His last year in school, towards the end, he was really anxious. Just anxiety. It was like frustrated. It's like the worst time of his college career, about to graduate. And he didn't understand what it was. So I said, go talk to your guidance counselor and just figure out what's going on with you. And through him meeting with her, he came back with he was evolving but resisting it.
Hmm.
And I said, man, that's true. He said, so he's a senior, still remembering the life of a junior or a freshman. Now it's the time to graduate, and sometimes we can cling to a previous season.
Sure.
That we had the most success or felt the best, and now it's time to get to the next fit to evolve. We're still trying to do this. So when he came to that conclusion with her, he was like, wow, I was really it was a fear of growing because it was unknown. I know what this is. So he was able to maneuver through it, and now he's going forward. He's down in Texas with Randy. God is blessing him, and so we can't be afraid. Part of that toolbox is being objective. You got to be able to. You got to be flexible. You got to pull out some flexibility and some grace for yourself.
Right.
That tool bag has a lot of good stuff in it. We just don't use it for some reason.
For sure. And I totally have been very hard on myself my entire life. But just until recently, I just started having grace, with myself. I'm not perfect.
Huh?
And,
Yeah.
just knowing that these are weaknesses and these are things that I need to work on, areas I need to grow in. And just being able to help other people, especially my students, in those areas as well. So
Yeah. Well, I got a good friend on, Pastor Rogers. Good to see you, buddy. And so this has been good, though. I trust that some people were helped. Uh, um, I believe you're an asset. You're a valuable player on the team of life. Because people need to hear about grace. People need to hear about self-awareness. People need to hear all this stuff. In this new season where we are, we can't do it without a tool bag of things to use. We just can't. I heard a guy, to your point, he said, man, I'm my worst critic. So I said, well, why are you your worst critic? Like, because when you're your worst critic, you don't know where the boundaries are.
right.
So let somebody else be your worst critic. If you're your worst critic, you're around you all the time. So you're constantly hearing negative things about yourself from yourself. So when you are your worst critic, like you never get a break. You're around you all like, when do you ever get a break from you?
Right.
And I said, you should never be your worst critic because it's hard to shut that down. Like, you don't know when to say, all right, buddy, I'm gonna love you. Let's get some ice cream. Like, you're gonna always deny yourself and punish yourself. You feel like you deserve punishment for goodness.
And whoever that critic is needs to be a trusted person in your life.
Yeah.
And you feel very comfortable and safe with.
A safe place. That's a
Mm-hmm.
safe place. And
Mm-hmm.
I try to be that safe place through my business. People I'm in my office now. It's a safe place of confidentiality. Hey, come in here, talk, whatever. Hey, nobody's gonna tell on anything. Nobody's gonna. We all got struggles and we all really got issues. We just, coming from a church perspective, I got to put that in there. We mastered how to hide.
Oh yeah.
We become professionals, and we're experts at hiding. And so, and I think the COVID really has exposed so many things.
Mm-hmm.
Man, You
I would
know,
always go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just in the church, and when I was a pastor's wife, I was always hiding. I was always, I think it was more a fear of um,
Okay.
making people stumble. Like because I'm not perfect. People seeing, that I may cuss every once in a while, or you know, um,
No.
drink some wine.
You know what? We got to end this broadcast right now. No, I'm kidding.
um, and it was without going too far into it, there is that stigma, around that, and I was I was I was hiding behind my smile. I definitely put on a mask. I put on a facade. Not that I wasn't real. I was genuine in my
I hear
conversations
you.
and things like that. But things that I would let people see and how far I'd let people in was, yeah, was not a lot. Because I was afraid. I was afraid that they would not like the real me, and would not approve of the real me. Um,
And
and
yeah,
that
and that's
it,
a hard place to be. You know, we've all been there. Like it's so much like you're always under pressure to perform.
yeah,
Like you're a puppet, a societal puppet. Like to the loudest flute. So we're really juggling who we are. And you know, God not only loves us, but He likes us.
right.
And like is really at times stronger than love because everybody say, "Oh, I love everybody," but the people you like, that's who you share stuff with. You got an extra cone, you got like you buy somebody something extra. But sometimes we say we love each other, but we're selfish in that love, but we're more caring and like.
Hmm. That's deep.
Come on, give me mine now. Give me mine.
Bam.
And, and so like is real because we can love our spouses but not like them.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
And so we can love well, I love everybody. Yeah, but you're not gonna share with everybody. But like is that word that you get them an ice cream too. Yo, I like you, bro. And it's deep. It's like a heartfelt love. You could kind of be generic with how you say it. Man, I love everybody. Nah, I know you don't. But like is strong. It's like, man, I like you, man. You're all right. You're all right, man. Like is when you give people that. Yo, I like you, man. Yo, you all
Right.
right. Like use other words to describe the intimacy of it. Yo, you my man. Yo, I like you know what I mean. We don't say I love you, man. We say I like you. I like you. So it's as a different connecting point. And so we have to see ourselves as likable. And like you said, people struggle with that. Um, I thought I had it all together. Sometimes the level of your pain it breaks your shell. Like you have nothing to prove when you experience the level of a heartbreak that maybe
Mhm.
I have or you have. It's like what's left? Like you don't have a lot to prove anymore. Like you're not on any quest to show. You like, yo, it is what it is.
Right.
You kind of carry it more like that. So maybe sometimes we haven't been broken enough where
Mm.
it reached our heart because most of the time we're locking people out and people can't get in, but we can't get out. So the door that's preventing them from getting in is also preventing us from getting out. So we live this emotionalist, cold way where we've forgotten how to cry. We forgot that fun is fun. So now we're trying to live life moment by moment, not from really like almost like from like live life from a skilled place, not a place of refreshing.
Right. Right.
We're skilled, not refreshed. So we know it. We're like almost like the Tin Man on the Wizard of Oz. We're just we know what to do, but we don't have a heart.
Mm. Yeah. Kind of like going through the motions.
Emotion. So this honest. All we talking about is we got to be honest. Like I just got to be honest, man. I suck. Like we think being honest means we fail. Honest is really is a gateway like to liberty, because you take it off of you. You like honesty is like, you know what, I don't have it together, God. And when I was going through, I was like, God, I don't get you. Like, why? Like, I have my whys. I'm like, I'm trying not to blame you, but who else to blame?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you're the heartbreaker and you're the heart fixer at the same time. Now I'm in this hard place. I want to blame you, but then you're the healer. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm mad at you, but I need you.
Right.
And so these really weird places that we find ourselves in, it really boils down to building new community, like finding out how to build communities again, like you and I are doing. Like, this is a community we're like we got to get around people that have the same like precious mind or faith of but anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent myself, but
But I think I
this is
mean
so
a lot of healing will start to, I feel like, surface when people are being honest. But so for example, Janice had a book club
oh yeah,
not too long ago, and it was could be considered a controversial book. And there was a few of us on there, and we would meet and we would talk. And beautiful Janice created this safe place for all of us to talk, and we were all, you know, different nationalities and whatnot. And this book had a lot of racial controversy in it, and but nobody felt like they couldn't talk and say their piece and say how they felt from their heart. There needs to be more communities like that,
yeah.
where people can just ask questions, and it may be a naive question. I would never say it's a stupid question, but just being able to ask that and not being made to feel stupid, or you know, when they do ask that, just being able to be open. Everyone, no matter what your race, your age, your occupation, if people can just come together just as people, as a human race, and just be honest with each other, I think that we could just move to different places just in this world, in our community, enrichment.
So maybe we're charged with, because every beginning of something has to have a start. Give me mine again.
Boom.
Boom. So every beginning have to have a start. So maybe it has to start with something or someone. So maybe us talking, I'm not trying to throw you out there to start something, but the people that see it probably are the ones to be it.
Right. I mean, I think that's why, you know, I shared that I do want to have a podcast, and just be able to just discuss different topics and things. There's so much out there, so many different avenues and aspects of things to talk about. Like for
It
me,
is.
I could talk about things in education. I could talk about, you know, being a mom with grown children. You know, there's just so many different things, you know, and then as, you know, different things happen in our world, there's just more to talk about and discuss. And I think a lot of it has to do too with respecting other people's thoughts, perspectives, and opinions. Their perspective and their thoughts and their words are not going to be yours. Maybe not everybody is going to agree with you, and that's okay. I think it's a matter of listening and taking it in, and maybe even not even responding, or maybe just responding with like, okay, thank you, you know, I'll really
Yeah.
think about that. Write it down, you know, pray about it, meditate, whatever you do, think about it, and just let it kind of sit there and see what you can do with it.
That's good. You know what? That the way you explained that was so simple. Because that's in the simplest form. You're right. Let it sit there and really just see what you could do with this. Like, it's just, that's an honest approach. Just, you know what? This is what it is. This is what I got. let me see if I can make some sense of it. Let me just see how this can come about into something. That's good. Well, we're almost getting towards the end. I do want you to kind of share a couple, like we talked about, maybe 2 or 3 things that people can take away with this whole thing with healing through honesty. Like, what are some, maybe, I don't know, 3 couple things you could just kind of leave some practical things maybe that you've used to bring you where you are, that you could say, you know what, these are some things I did, and just kind of let it go.
Yeah, for me, you know, I'm an educator, and so teachers, we are big on self-reflection. You know, a day or 2 will go by, and we'll sit down at the end of the day or the end of the week and reflect and say, how did that go? How can I make this better? What worked? You know, how can I improve on that? How can I build on that? And I feel like that can be applied. Well, I've applied that to my life, my life in general. I would reflect on relationships. And sometimes if I had a difficult relationship, I would say, well, why is this relationship difficult? You know, and it's really just, you know, reflecting on myself and saying, you know, do I need to look at this situation from the other person's perspective? You know, maybe they're going through something, you know, and I don't know, like, what I'm doing is not working. So what other approach can I take to connect with this person? And it doesn't mean I have to have these wonderful best friend relationships with everybody, but I do like to have enjoyable relationships around me. But you're not always going to mix well with people. So I think self-reflection is a big one. And then after that, for me, I know I talked about it a little bit earlier, is just finding my peace. I had to find my peace. In different times in my life, that looks like different things. For me right now, I love guided meditations. On Facebook, sometimes I'll post them, like things that I've taken away from them. I only sit for like 5 minutes, and I listen to a guided meditation. It may be on connection, on insight, awareness, but it just gives me a different viewpoint on the day, on other people, on situations, relationships in my life. And that, I guess for me, I need that little piece to kind of like push me and make me want to grow. But again, sometimes it's just turning on music and, you know, letting myself go. I would say driving in the car, but gas is so expensive, I don't ever go for a drive anymore.
Yeah.
Just to go. But walking outside with my dog, I mean, it looks different for everybody. But I think finding your peace is very important, because I feel like in that place, at least with me, I've come to a place where I can start to forgive myself for, you know, things that I do, and giving myself grace. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And then just humbly being truthful. You know, this is what I need to work on. What do I need to do? What tools can I pull out of that toolbox?
The tools can I pull out of the toolbox? Yes.
Yeah. To address these things. And then I'll just circle it back to social emotional learning, because all of those competencies have different tools in them to help you. And really, it's just finding the resources. And they're actually all over the internet, but there are some great ones. A good place for, at least I would say, for people to start, and for me, where I started, was taking a personality test. And it's funny the things that will come about, because you're like, oh, I didn't know I was like that. But then you look at it and you say, you know what, I really am like that. I just don't think about it. I don't ponder on it. I'm not truthful with myself in that area for whatever reason. And okay, I need to work on that. What can I do now to work on that? So yeah, I would say self-reflection and finding your peace are the biggest ones for me that have helped me in my life and pushed me to continue to grow.
And then having grace, I think that's a big key, having grace. So many can't forgive themselves, or that, and I'm not going to get into a tangent, but being driven by perfectionism is either all or nothing. And sometimes we don't know how to balance through the gray area. Say, hey, it's another day. There's more hours. You don't have to run yourself into the ground. So what was those three again? Two? Self-reflection.
Yeah, well, I only gave two, but you can add grace, being giving yourself grace as third. Self-reflection, finding your peace.
Finding your peace. I'm big. That's good. Finding your peace. Man, that's good. Finding your peace.
And giving yourself grace. And one thing I noticed too, the more graceful I am to myself, or the more grace I show towards myself, the more grace I show towards others. So it's like when you come to that place that you can love and accept yourself, you tend, well, at least for me, I tend to be more graceful to those around me in those situations.
Wow, this is good. This is really good. This has really been good. And from the responses, and I see the list of people, very awesome. My Dr. Collins is on trauma. She's working on her doctorate in trauma care.
I love trauma-informed care. I so much in that.
Maybe that's what you could talk to her, see how you can get your doctorate.
No school right now. No more school. I just finished. I can't go back to school right now. It's too much for me. There we go. Giving myself grace. I just can't.
I thought I was going to do it. I'm still contemplating, but it's that desire to keep, not necessarily desire to keep learning, but to become better. Like, there's so many tools in that bag. You want to explore the tools. Like, oh, I didn't know about this. I didn't know about, self-forgiveness, or I didn't know about, it's just so much. And sometimes it just looks like a degree versus maybe just reading a book. Mm-hmm. It might just be a book, not a degree. So,
well, I mean, that's what's so great about social emotional learning and why I grew so much. I mean, you could take each one of those competencies and spend weeks on it on a podcast. Because like I said, there's so many subtopics and so many ways you can break it down and apply it to your life, to other people's lives, to relationships, to situations, to, global events. Like there's just so much involved in that, but all of them together just help. I feel like they help me be a better person, and now I am applying that in the classroom and with my students.
Wow, that's great. So maybe that's the rest of that is in a part 2.
Sure.
Or 3.
I mean, we could break down each one a little bit more for sure.
Yeah, we can definitely. Dr. Collins said we must know our limitations. When the time aligns with God's plan, purpose, and will, He will make it happen. Okay.
There we go.
All right. Well, this has been great, Miss Kelli. I really, truly appreciate you being on. I appreciate your friendship. We don't even talk much. We probably talk I don't even think we talk once a year.
No, it's just like little.
It's like a text. Hey, just praying for you, be encouraged. I haven't talked to you. We don't even do. It's funny. I just felt like, hey, let me get Miss Kelli, and it's just that's how when you don't have to try to do nothing. Those are people. Those are good connections. You don't have to be nothing. You could just pick up where you left off. Like, hey, Miss Kelli, what you doing? Okay, I'm down with that. Let's do it. We might not talk again for another year or text or whatever, but it's always that, and I think those are the people we need to start weeding trying to look for who do we connect with without puppeting.
Yes.
Like who can I be myself around? I don't have to. I'm already going through emotional crisis, and then I gotta perform in a relationship that, you know what I mean? Like, who can I just not have, have all that drama with, and where can I go as a safe place or a safe person?
And make a true connection with.
True connection, man. And I think that's what we're lacking, and we have to put forth some efforts. We can feel vibes, we can feel things, we can get around people and feel weird things. That's not the person. Maybe,
Right.
It's not saying they're a bad person, but that's not supposed to be they're not supposed to be in your bag. And so I thank God that you're in my bag.
Same.
And so I can call on you. Any last final words? Or let me thank everybody for tuning in. If you want to see Miss Kelli on here again, say so. She's educated, smart woman, intelligent, and wonderful. She works well with youth. He's a great presenter and speaker. Somebody said yes. And so, she's going to be starting her podcast soon. So whenever she does that, I'll definitely put a plug out. But I say so. Dr. Collins say so. So yeah, people.
Thanks, y'all.
Healing through honesty was this discussion today. We went in different ways, but prayerfully and hopefully you all receive something on the discussion today. And thank you on behalf of Let's Cross Together podcast with yours truly, the mental health pastor Fernando Cottrell. Miss Kelli, thank you once again. And we'll be speaking soon. Thank everyone. And also share this video, everybody. Share this video. And that's how we change lives together. All right. Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.